Imagine waking up with no recollection of what happened the night before. Your body aching, your mind clouded with confusion, and to make matters worse, you have no idea if someone has been filming you while you were vulnerable. This isn't just some bad dream. It's the chilling reality for dozens of women, all targeted by a man who thought he could get away with everything. This is the case of Zhou Zhenhao, a Chinese international student who was so careful in his crimes that for years, he got away with it. But it wasn't until 2024 that his reign of terror came to an end. Zhou Zhenhao, also known by his English name Paco, was a 27-year-old PhD student at University College London. But Zhou didn't just come to London to study. He came with a darker agenda. Zhou grew up in Dongguan, Guangdong, wealthy, privileged. His father worked for a state-owned company, his mother was a teacher, and rumor has it, the family owned multiple properties. But instead of just living it up, he chose a much darker path. In 2017, at just 20 years old, he moved to Northern Ireland to study mechanical engineering at Queen's University Belfast, graduating 2 years later. He didn't struggle for money. His parents were there to cover his tuition, housing, and even gave him a generous allowance. This allowed him to spend lavishly, buying Rolex watches and filling his wardrobe with designer clothes. In September 2019, he enrolled at University College London, UCL, for a master's degree in mechanical engineering. When the COVID-19 pandemic hit in 2020, Zhou returned to China. However, in 2021, he flew back to London to continue his PhD studies. As time went on, Zhou didn't just work on his studies, he also worked on his appearance. Hair transplants, double eyelid surgery, chin fat injections, dental work, you name it. He was constantly tweaking his looks, turning himself into a version of someone he thought women would fall for. And to top it off, he joined an online dating show in China, where he presented himself as some kind of dream man. He also set up multiple social media profiles, posting shirtless selfies, bragging to his friends about his so-called skills. He told his friends he slept with over 100 women in just 1 year. Whether he's exaggerating or not, we'll never know. Zhou was initially living in a student dorm, but soon he upgraded to something much more luxurious. Zhou rented a luxury high-rise apartment in South London. The apartment was on the 39th floor, offered a stunning view of the city with an astonishing rent of £4,000 a month. But Zhou had some high standards when it came to his apartment. He told the landlord he wanted an apartment with good soundproofing as he planned to host parties. But the truth? Much darker. In January 2024, everything came crashing down. Police raided his luxury apartment and arrested him.
Hello, sir. You Mr. Zhu, by any chance?
What's your name, sir? Zheng Hao. Pardon? Zheng Hao. Zhou Hao.
And your surname?
Yes,
Huh?
And your surname?
Family name, Zhou.
Pardon?
Zhou.
You got any ID on you at all?
Yeah.
Yeah, can you show me your ID, please, just so we can confirm who you are? That doesn't. Is there anybody else in?
I saw it was done.
Sorry? Say that again?
I remember Mom's.
Okay, sir, I'm arresting you on suspicion of rape, okay? Because it is alleged that on the 14th of November last year, you have vaginally raped a female at this address, okay? You do not have to say anything, but it may harm your defence if you do not mention, when questioned, something which you later rely on in court. Anything you do say may be given in evidence. Your arrest is necessary for a prompt and effective investigation, okay? Your time of... Let me finish. Your time of arrest is now 1:53. Come on. Come out so I can check
Could you
people.
just allow something cover here?
Can I...
Want a jacket or anything?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get that. If you shuffle out. Shuffle out. Yeah, can you...
I'm going to search your search to make sure you don't have anything sharp on your mind or something. Do you understand what's happening?
Inside his apartment, they found drugs, lots of them. But not just any drugs. They found substances like butanediol and GHB, otherwise known as the date rape drug. This is a substance known for putting people into a deep, almost unconscious state, leaving them completely vulnerable. Pipettes were even found in his apartment, where they were used to carefully measure doses of these dangerous substances. That's not all they found. police discovered 4 hidden cameras, some disguised as everyday objects like alarm clocks, all set up to record what Zhou Junhao had been doing to his victims. At first, Zhou tried to deny it. He said the cameras were just for curiosity, but the evidence didn't lie. On his phone, investigators found 1,277 videos, totaling over 6.5 terabytes of data. These weren't just random clips. Many showed Zhou drugging and engaging in non-consensual sexual activity with the unconscious women. When investigators were analyzing the videos, they discovered that Zhou wasn't just operating in one country alone. His crimes stretched across borders, in multiple rented UK apartments and an unidentified location in China. And his inappropriate behavior towards women wasn't exactly a secret. Some students noticed that. At school social events, he'd make disgusting, offensive jokes about women. At parties, he was constantly pressuring women to drink, personally mixing their drinks, and forcing them to consume alcohol. And in bars or KTV lounges, classmates had to physically step in multiple times to stop him from taking intoxicated women home. But sometimes, he still succeeded. Now, let's talk about his trophies. Zhou had this eerie habit of keeping jewelry, clothing, and personal items from his victims. Investigators found a yellow Fendi box with these items carefully stored away, each one serving as a trophy for the crimes he'd committed. Zhou had no remorse. When questioned, he claimed that filming women while they were asleep wasn't an invasion of privacy. It was just filming their faces. In court, Zhou was charged with 11 counts of SA and multiple other charges, yet he denied all of them. Among the evidence, there were 7 videos of Zhou secretly documenting his non-consensual acts on women in China. In court, these women were referred to as victims B, C, D, E, F, G, and H. Now, out of these 7 victims, 5 of them were completely unconscious. Victim G actually woke up, but not fully. She tried to fight off the drowsiness, but whatever he had given her was too strong. She couldn't stay awake. Victim H, she was snoring in her sleep while it was happening. And then there's victim D. She also appeared unconscious at first, but then she woke up. When she realized what was happening, she tried to fight back. She begged him repeatedly not to do it, but he didn't stop. Now, imagine sitting in a courtroom and watching this. Some jurors couldn't even look at the screen. Others had tears in their eyes. And some of the female jurors, they had to close their eyes completely. The emotional toll on the jurors was so intense that the judge issued special instructions, ordering regular breaks for the jurors. Other evidence includes 2 different videos where victim A appeared. These videos were both secretly filmed by Zhou in his London school dorm. In the first video, victim A was completely unconscious at the beginning, but then she woke up, and when she realized what was happening, she begged him to stop. And his response? He laughed and then said, "Don't struggle, it's useless. The soundproofing here is very good." Now, remember how I mentioned earlier that Zhou was obsessed with finding an apartment with good soundproofing? It wasn't some random preference. He wanted to make sure no one could hear his victim scream. In the second video, victim A appeared again. The video content was similar to the first video, and at first all the videos have no audio. So Zhou denied everything. He told police that all the women in his videos had consented to having sexual activities with him. But right before the trial, forensic technicians restored the audio. The woman in the video was clearly intoxicated, either from alcohol or drugs. So, when confronted in court with this new evidence, Zhou changed his story. Now, he claimed that this was all just role play. They filmed it as part of some consensual kink. The police immediately pointed out that the woman in the video was already unconscious at the start. So how did he role play when the other person wasn't even awake? And so, Zhou's excuses just kept getting more bizarre. He claimed he had at least 5 different women every month. He would ask these women to keep their eyes closed and stay still. He insisted that they always consented to being filmed, and that the women would take drugs voluntarily in exchange for money and gifts. When they asked him if he enjoyed exerting control over women, he smirked and said, "I am good in every way. I am better than others. I am a very excellent person." 2 other brave women took the stand during the trial. First up, we have victim N. She was a Chinese student living in the UK. She met Zhou Zhenhao in May 2023 because she needed help with her math homework. A few days later, she went to a party at a friend's place. Turns out this friend's apartment was just 2 floors above Zhou's luxury flat in Elephant and Castle. At some point during the night, Zhou invited En over to his place to keep the party going, with more drinking, more games. En then jokingly said, "If you want me to stay, you need to pay me 100,000 RMB. But that night, nothing was funny, because once she stepped inside his apartment, everything changed. He forced her to drink more. At one point, he handed her a massive cup of vodka, telling her, "Don't waste it." En felt extremely uncomfortable. She tried to leave, even lies on the floor, crying. But Zhou forced her to continue drinking and forbade her from leaving. En quickly became completely intoxicated, and eventually, she blacked out. En had no idea that Zhou had a hidden motion sensor camera in his bedroom. He had planned this. En would later be seen in the video struggling, screaming, trying to push him away. In the end, En managed to escape from the bed and she ran out of his apartment. She was so frantic, she even forgot her handbag in his apartment. The next day, she felt absolutely sick. The whole thing left her completely traumatized. So she goes to the London Metropolitan Police and reports it. But because of language barriers and poor translation services, her statement wasn't clear enough. So the police didn't follow up. At that point, she felt emotionally drained and gave up on the case. But En wasn't going to let Zhou get away with it. She texted him directly, telling him she was going to expose him. Then she posted about him on Xiaohongshu, the Chinese version of Instagram, warning other women. And that post changed everything. 8 months later, detectives finally come across En's post. They reach out to her and tell her they found videos of her being intoxicated and being sexually violated on Zhou's phone. But that's not all. Because of En's post, another woman came forward. Another woman, Elle, had met Zhou in August 2021. At first, everything was consensual. They had one intimate encounter and Elle actually liked him. She hoped they'd become something more. But to Zhou, she was just another target. Fast forward to September 13, 2021, Elle's 19th birthday. She, Zhou, and some friends went out for hot pot in Chinatown. Then they hit up a private room in another restaurant, drinking bottle after bottle of Jack Daniel's whiskey. And that's where Elle's memory gets blurry. She only remembered throwing up in the street and losing her credit card. Then suddenly, she was in Zhou's dorm and he's on top of her. Elle immediately tells him to stop, but then she blacked out again. The next morning, she wakes up feeling horrible. Her head is pounding, her body feels weird, but she doesn't even know what happened. So she reaches out to Zhou, and what does he say? "You were totally conscious the whole time." And for a while, she believed him. Until Elle saw En's post, it all clicked, and finally, she had the courage to speak out. After a grueling trial on March 5th, 2025, the jury found Zhou Zhenhao to be an extremely dangerous predator, someone who not only drugged his victims, but filmed his crimes for his own twisted pleasure. He targeted 10 women, 7 in China and 3 Chinese students in the UK. The police believe the actual number of victims is likely higher than we know. With at least 60 women may have been affected by his crimes, many of these women will never even know they were victims. Zhou Zhenhao was convicted of the following charges: 11 counts of SA, 3 counts of voyeurism, 10 counts of possessing extreme adult explicit content, 1 count of unlawful detention, 3 counts of possessing controlled substances with intent to commit a crime. The judge who presided over the case warned Zhou Zhenhao that he could face a very long prison sentence when he is sentenced on June 19, 2025. Zhou's case is a stark reminder that we need to stay vigilant, especially when alcohol or drugs are involved. Trust your instincts and always be cautious, no matter how well you think you know someone. So what do you think of this case? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for joining me today. Stay safe, stay alert, and remember, sometimes the scariest monsters are the ones who hide behind a perfect facade. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.